Okay, so here's another daily vlog update. It's Nofap day 11. So, for whom it may concern, I'm still going on this whole Nofap streak. It's like I said, it's day 11. It's the 11th of May, 2021, and it's just become my strategy. I'm trying to just mentally and otherwise focus on the positives, what I have going for me, what I'm working on, what I have control over, or I have an effect on. And to that end, it's mostly been just the Python boot camp that I've been working on Udemy. And like I think yesterday I got past the 4th, mark, and I think it's like maybe 4 or 5 more lessons and I'll be a third of the way done. After that, working to get to the halfway mark, and then so on until I'm done with the whole boot camp. Essentially what I've been focusing on, taking breaks here and there. Some of the lessons are like 10, 15, sometimes even like 20 minutes long, so I'll try and like power through one of those, and then because I'm pausing every so often to write down the code and learn these different like techniques and data types and all that, and different statements and like flow control and so on. But I'll get through one of those and I take a little break, and then I'll go back and try to knock down some more of them. And it's sort of like this whole idea of building up enough momentum to keep going and that sort of thing. And each day, if I get a few more done, eventually I'll be there at the end. And I do want to set some decent goals, reasonable goals, for each day and what to get through. Because honestly, like, I want to get, let me see, 3 to 4 done by the end of the month. They have these boot camps, if I can. Obviously, like I know like it will fall short, but if I got like 2 or 3 more done, I got this Python one done, I got the SQL boot camp done, and then got R in the R programming boot camp, that thing done by the end of the month. And then I think there are only 2 programming languages I would be left to want to like cover from this list would be C# and Java. And I already have like a decent amount of experience with Java. Not so much from the theory side. Like I learned some serious theory like way back in the day, because I had this sort of like dummy's guide to Java. And when I was first starting off writing Java applications for Android, I was working through like books on how to make like gaming applications for Java, that sort of deal. But I had that old big like dummy's guide to Java, and I just kind of like read through it, and I got exposed to a lot of terms and terminology and different different statements, techniques, data types, etc. I don't think I can necessarily sit down and do like your stereotypical like coding test of like define a class, or define a what else, like a variable, an integer, a float. I know what they are. I know how to use them. I understand inheritance and extension and stuff of that nature, and how to import different classes and packages and that sort of thing. I understand the applied side. I understand how to use it, but theory wise I'm kind of lacking on with that. But assuming I get through, I've already done the PLC programming bootcamp. Assuming I get through the Python, and then I'm gonna finish Python. Obviously, I already started. I've gotten some significant momentum going, but assuming I get through not only that but also SQL and R The two other languages would be, like I said, C# and Java. And I mean, I'm probably going to add more onto that, because some of the examples of, let's say, code written for, let's say, like the Hamilton Microlab Star, I know they use JSON, so like JavaScript. What else? There's some other features these, and I know like a lot of these biotech companies, because they have like web applications, or they have like a database or so, they want to use, I think it's the RESTful API, which is Java, and then there's .NET, which I believe goes with C#. So once I get to those programming languages, I'll probably have to go and complete some of those certifications for like specific APIs, applications, that sort of thing. I know there's one out there for automated software testing. I'd like to get into that. And what else? There are some certifications or courses that are not like per se software related, but they're related to biotech. Like there's one on NGS, which is next generation sequencing. There's one on PCR primer design, which I guess they teach you how to use certain software tools to design primers for polymerase chain reaction processes. So I like to do those eventually. And there's a company called SAS, which makes this statistical software package called JMP or JUMP. And I know they have 3 different certifications there. Like I think I mentioned in the past, there's a free course. It's kind of long and involved, but you can go take that course, and then each of the certification exams are $180, and I'm not sure how much the other 2 courses are. They're probably about the same, but those are some other stuff I'm looking at. I'm just kind of trying to keep my you can say like keep my eye on the prize when I sort of review these plans and such. Obviously, like I'm still waiting to hear back from Hamilton on like they can get me in contact with the accounts folks, because I'm making sure I keep that $5,000 sitting in my savings account and I don't touch that. And if I gotta pull money from other sources, that's what I'll do in order to essentially like wait it out, because I need to get that certification. Everything else is great and all, and it's really helpful to have these other skills, and there's stuff that I'm knocking down while I'm working, through the days to that point where I have that Hamilton certification. But the Hamilton one is really, it's one of those that's really sets you apart, when it comes to this industry. Like a lot of it is really heavily specific to like what system the company's using and what system the industry's using. And you might not be certified, let's say, a Hamilton system like a Microlab Star or the Vantage. The software they use is the Venus software and the Instinct 5. You might not be certified in that, but at least getting with some automated liquid handling robot application development environment or integrated software development environment is really key. And for me right now, the stuff that I have the most access to is Hamilton, so I'm sticking with that, because I know these other companies, like I think you have to have some sort of account with them. And a lot of times that's something that like the company you're working for will pay for, and it costs a lot of money, and they only really do that if you're already kind of in the loop and they need to train you up, or so, or they're like willing to. I mean, it's kind of like having to convince them to be willing to put how many thousands of dollars into some account and to pay for you to be trained and that sort of thing. And so much of the struggle is really breaking into this, and it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of outside stuff. I mean, like it's like this idea of like progressive credentialism, and by progressive, I'm not talking about politics here. I'm just talking about like how it's not enough anymore to have just a bachelor's degree. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago it was. It's not enough even in a lot of cases to have just a master's degree. You know, there has to be years of experience. In addition to that, you have to have credentials that show that you got the specialized skill set, because that's a lot of what they hire by. You know, it's kind of like you could be an expert on, I don't know, C#, but if they're using Python for everything, then, you know, what good are you? Or if you're an expert on like sort of software development, you know, languages and technologies and such, but, you know, they're using obviously an example would be like Tcan Freedom EvoWare, I think it is, or Tcan Fluent, and you don't know that. Or they're using the AgentLint Bravo and you don't know how to write protocols for that. If you do know a liquid handling robot system, that's, you know, that's a plus, and that could, you know, give them the idea, okay, that, you know, maybe this person doesn't know this right now, but they can learn it on the job. But if you don't even have that, like, you're not getting your foot in the door. And a lot of it also is just getting screened by HR. And HR, you know, they'll look at that. They might, not even 5 minutes, 5 seconds, they look at your resume, and if they don't see, you know, keywords like automated liquid handling robot programming, you know, or Hamilton, or Tcan, or AgentLint, or I don't know, assay development, or whatever the buzzword is, you know, your resume goes into the, you know, circular filing cabinet 13, aka the garbage. And it's nothing personal, you know, because from their angle they're looking at it like, we only got a limited amount of time, we need to sort through 50, 100, 1,000 applications, you know, we need to get someone who can get this stuff up and running, you know, because you're not just going for some technician position where it's like, okay, push this button, pull that lever. It's like, you know, you're at that much of a higher level where it's like, okay, you know, if this person doesn't know how to program this stuff, like, it ripples out through the organization, you know, because you're affecting like the workflow of multiple departments. You're affecting the ability of the company to produce its products, you know, in an efficient, effective, timely manner, meeting all, let's say, FDA standards and so on, and not having any sort of well, let's just put it this way, life complicating results, aka if you're working at a company that makes, you know, medical or pharmaceutical or, you know, biotech products, could be potentially affecting people's quality of life, and they don't want that kind of stuff. So they're gonna, you know, making sure like, okay, we're not wasting our time on a candidate who doesn't have what we're looking for. And it's kind of a hard thing to have to do. I mean, I'm trying to get this done as early in my career as possible, because if you get really locked into being just a manufacturing technician, it gets really, really difficult as you go on to just get out of that rut. Some of it is on the side of the potential employer, because you get pigeonholed, you get this sort of stigma attached to you. You're one of those manufacturing folks, you know, you're like a dumb grunt, you know, and you don't have the ability to really think on that level, you know. You don't have the accoutrement, the personality, the intellect, you know, that sort of thing. And on the other end, there's, well, and, you know, it's not mentioning like the lack of a skill set or experience or so, or a proven track record. You know, they want to bet on somebody who's a proven sort of, you know, commodity or product. But then on the other hand, you know, you as the person who's trying to go from being a technician to being an engineer, it can get really easy to just clock in and clock out, and, oh, I'll just do some extra hours and I'll make some extra money, you know, like last year, I mean, I was, whenever I could, being a single guy in his 30s, I just put in as many hours as I could. Some days it was 60 hours a week, and I made six figures. It was a lot of stress and strain and exertion, but I still made six figures, and I was able to pay off a whole ton of debt. And if I'm able to repeat that again, let's say, from here to a year from now, I mean, I think I paid off about 50 to 60K, which, if I were to accomplish that this time around, I think, let me see, I'd have all my loans paid off except for one, and then that one, I'd be like, I would owe like, I think less than 2/3, just a bit under 2/3 of the total loan amount. At that point, I'd be like 20 something K in debt, and it would be like, I could just, at that point, I could just coast to the end and just do just the minimum 40 hours a week and just, pay the maximum, but I'd be out of debt in like less than a year at that point, and I could just, like I said, I could just go be the grunt, push the button, pull the lever, do the hours. If I wanted to do, wanted more because I don't know, I wanted to buy something, or I wanted to invest or something, I could just go put in an extra 10-20 hours this week, and you get that extra padding of cash on your paycheck, and then go do this, that, and the other, and it's like, I could be promoted from MA1 to MA2 to MA3 and be making a decent living, but like, it wouldn't be purposeful or fulfilling. I should just say it wouldn't be fulfilling, but at the same time, it'd be really easy to get into that kind of a rut, especially if you look at the way things are, nowadays economically. Luckily, I have a good degree and I have some experience under my belt, but you look at the way the world is right now, and it's like, it'd be really, really easy to just get into that that rut, from my end, just as it'd be really easy for any potential employer to hire me as an engineer, even like, a year or two in the future, assuming I didn't have the skill set and all that, But, yeah, that's where I'm focusing on right now. I'm trying not to think about a whole lot of other stuff, because, like, I could get back hooked into the loop of, like, my family and their drama and their toxicity. I could be dwelling on the past, even recent events. I could be doing all that kind of stuff, and I've done that enough. And, I think it's one of the things that honestly does really affect my health. It's just something, even as like, I'll think about something that really makes me angry, and I'll like grind my teeth. And I think, like, about, you do that enough, it does cause your blood pressure to spike. It's sort of like, the cardiovascular response to that. I don't know if it's a parasympathetic or sympathetic system, but it's sort of like you can control or affect that, with emotions and with like events, even just memories. And it's like, you do that enough times, like, and you exist in that kind of a state, it's like, you can really mess up your health without really having to do much, create that constant high blood pressure, and increase like your, I don't know, the pressure, and not just the blood pressure, but just pressure in general inside your like abdomen or so, muscles, that sort of thing, without it being like, let's say, physical exercise, which you typically leads to some sort of like positive result of, like, endorphins being released and blood pressure dropping. You get that feeling of relaxation. You create a system or a scenario where, as your muscles repair themselves following the exercise, you get stronger, that sort of thing. Like, in a situation where you're just angry or depressed or anxious or whatever constantly, and you're doing it to yourself, like, you can really have a negative effect on your health. And I think some of the reasons why maybe I've been having some of these pains in different areas of my body, so to speak, muscle pain, that sort of thing, back pain, some of it's been because of bad posture, but a lot of it's also been because of like the the sort of strange influence of like your state of mind on your physical health. You dwell on negative stuff, you get that, anger, that depression, that sadness, that anxiety, and you don't get it out of your system. You just kind of sit there and wallow in it and drown yourself in it, so to speak. Like, you can really mess up your health long term. It's not necessarily something that's going to happen overnight, but like, it's kind of like you see people long term, like, oh man, they really let that, eat them up inside. You see like their, whatever it is, it could be regret, it could be anger, whatever it is, you see people like, they'll age themselves a heck of a lot faster because they're just not, they haven't figured out a way to deal with the anger or the anxiety or whatever in a healthy manner. And sometimes, it's easier said than done, but for me personally, like, I'm trying not to make as many excuses, because I don't want to see my own health go down, especially since, like, I don't know, beyond the fact that I have these dreams of the kind of life I want to live, the things that I want to do for myself, first and foremost, there's also stuff that's secondary or tertiary to that I would want to be able to affect for, people I do care about. But of course the irony is, like, I gotta always be thinking from a perspective of like what's good for me first and foremost, and I believe, kind of like this whole idea of like, if you're doing so well yourself, like that you have, a certain amount of leeway to give, then maybe you have something you can offer to those who you do care about without it impairing yourself, which is kind of the idea. But beyond all this talk, I'm gonna put together some sort of workout routine. I'm probably gonna base it off of that. I think I've actually shared this with Alex, that French Foreign Legion guy. He kind of gave a really intense workout routine. I may do something based off of a combination of that and the One Punch Man workout, but eventually making some videos of doing exercise routines and that sort of deal. Obviously, I'm not going to start super intense. I have to be honest with you folks and say that physically speaking, I'm quite weak right now, musculature wise and all that. And if someone were to ask me to like crank out 100 push-ups or so, or even 100 crunches, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. And heck, I think I tried to do like some crunches lately or sit-ups or so, and I mean, I tried to keep it reasonable because it's like, okay, I need to start working out to strengthen my abdomen, want to avoid a hernia, etc. But like, 25 crunches or 25 sets can kind of be difficult for me right now, which is kind of like, that's weak sauce, what I'm saying? That's weak, but after that, it's kind of like I gotta like be careful how I lift myself off the floor, because my abdominal muscles are really not that strong right now, and I can end up having like a muscle spasm, which I kind of did end up having. It's not a good sign. I know I'm 34, but it's really no excuse. But I'll have to figure out and implement a system, which means really doing the work. So, but anyways, those are kind of some of the thoughts on my mind. I might just call this another deep thoughts sort of vlog, but I don't know. I think the only way forward really is to just be working on self-improvement, and also sort of, people have talked about in the past, the whole idea of gratitude. And I don't mean mindless gratitude. I mean like, it's sort of like, yeah, be appreciative of what you do have, but also do something with it, and to that end, I'm gonna finish up this video. I actually do want to do some like sort of physical exercise before I go back to programming again, because I think another thing that's on my sort of in my list of like potential reasons why I've been experiencing some of this muscle pain I've been talking about is I also live a very sedentary life, and even when I I've had, work or a job or so where I've been up and, moving around. It's like, it's not really like, it's not really all that intensive or so. It's like a lot of standing, a lot of leaning and crouching, and like, yeah, there's some lifting involved, but like, not all that much, not being out and about and mobile and so on, just kind of like same old sort of repetitive routines, and then when I'm at home, it's just kind of like sitting or laying, and very little movement, very little relocating on myself here and there. And I'm sure probably some of that, leads to sort of, it's kind of like your body weight or, pressure being applied to different areas of your body, like, your hips or your back, or your knees or so, or your neck. And that kind of static pressure, over a long term can't be healthy. So, and that's why people get bed sores. People, if they're in the hospital, it's like every so often they have to be, moved around a bit by the nurses, so that they don't get basically what they call pressure sores, which may be perhaps what I'm kind of experiencing, But anyways, I think that's it for now. And yeah. So I will see you folks around. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.